Welcome back to Thimbleberry U. I am John Jagay, joined again by Amy Walls from Thimbleberry Financial. Hey, Amy, happy holidays. Always good to be with you.
Jag, happy holidays to you. It's fun to be talking. It's the last one before the end of the year.
Yeah, and with the holiday season in full swing, I know Christmas and the holiday season is on everybody's mind right now, but as the year wraps up, I know a lot of people like to take stock of where they are financially in all areas of their life, whether it's a New Year's resolution or looking back on the year that was and the year that's ahead and stuff like that. One thing that our listeners might want to think about is an annual financial review. This is kind of the perfect time of year to do it. What is an annual financial review?
Jag, it's a great question. It's really a chance to look over where you are financially, take stock of everything. And, I think now being the end of the year is a great time for people to be thinking about this and making sure they have it on their calendar, perhaps for the upcoming year versus doing it right now. And now might be a great time for some folks. So I think it's just really about making sure they do this. But in doing that, you want to look at all aspects of your financial life, not just the investments.
I like the idea of putting it on a calendar and setting it because I feel like if you say, oh, that's something I should do and don't hold yourself accountable, it'll just fall to the bottom of that to-do list, never to be seen again. So
absolutely. Something we do in our practice that clients have shared over the years they love. There was a short period of time where I did not do it. And that is we pre-schedule clients for the following year. Mm-hmm. So in early November, our clients received notices of here's when your next year's appointments are based on how many times they meet. And one of those meetings is this annual financial review.
That explains why we've scheduled our 2022 podcast recordings already.
Absolutely.
Okay, so in this financial review, I know it's kind of a 360-degree thing. What are some of the things that should be looked at in an annual financial review?
Let's address the first one that's probably already on people's minds, and that's really a review of the investment accounts and their allocations, right? That's just at a basic level what you want to be looking at. What accounts do you have? How are they allocated? Does that allocation, first off, fit your risk profile? Mm-hmm. And it's so often to say, oh, risk hasn't changed. But when people pause and sit with that for a second, we find with our clients that oftentimes that has shifted because they're nervous about something going on, dare I say, with politics. Mm-hmm. They're worried about where the market's been at, or they've changed something in their lives, right? They're closer to retirement and all of a sudden that has connected for them. So there's a lot of things that can change people's risk tolerance.
Age certainly a factor there, but also, look, let's be honest, the world's been turned on its ear over the last 2 years. And that may have really given some people some perspective, made people think long and hard about certain things. It's understandable that their risk tolerance might change. And I'm going to make a little bit of a jump here. This can have to do with rebalancing too, right? To make sure that all of your accounts are in line with what you want, because some stuff may have gone up, some stuff may have gone down, and really making sure that your allocations and your ratios are where you want to be based on where that risk profile for you is now.
Absolutely. I think, though, before getting into the rebalancing, and you're exactly right, it's part of it, you also want to take stock of a few other things in your life.
Okay, such as?
For example, where are your cash reserves at? And what should your goal be? How is your cash flow comparing to prior years?
Right.
Did it stay the same? Just your expenses, for example, were they about equal to prior years? Or did they go up a lot? Or maybe did they go down a lot? What's your debt load? How much do you owe and on what? Right? Because there's so many things that can happen in the year that can change those things. Hopefully, new debt wasn't acquired, but sometimes it is for various reasons.
Absolutely. And again, I always say that I can't wait for you to meet my wife someday because she's got all this on a spreadsheet. Like the top line item is emergency savings. What's in that? And then we've got longer term things like vacations and other things we want to buy. We finally just put our wedding album together 4 years after we got married. Those, the bigger ticket things, stuff that we wanted to get done. But knowing what we have in reserve and knowing where our income and revenue was for 21 versus 20, what went up, what went down. Like, for example, because we're now both working from home in COVID, we went down to one car. So we only have one car payment now and not two. That was a big change for us financially this year because it's very rare that we would both need the car at the same time. And if it does, we figure it out. So why pay for gas and insurance and lease payment on two cars when we can just do the one? It's gotten along fine for us for over a year now.
Absolutely. These are great changes to take note of. Other things that you might want to look at are insurance needs, right?
Yeah.
Do you have enough life insurance in place? Are you comfortable with your disability insurance? Are you at the point in your life where long-term care insurance actually makes sense? And then your estate planning. And that means reviewing documents, looking at beneficiaries. I also think it's important to look at what might be changing coming up.
Yeah, in 22.
Are you going to have a change in income? Or, it may not even be certain. It's just a possibility. It's good to take note of that. Could we have some tax law changes? We know that's a possibility right now.
And that changes by the day. So we're not going to commit to anything in this recording now because we're recording this a couple of weeks ahead of time with the holiday. So who knows what's going to happen between now and when you hear this podcast. But change may be coming. We just don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet.
I love the disclaimers. Benefits. My husband got a new job recently. So we signed up for his benefits, but held off on changing some of my benefits that I take through my company. So we get to switch those all up again. And then there's what milestones may be coming up, whether that's you're going to be able to start Social Security in the next little bit, or, with one of the tech firms, there's a rule of 75 that is the number of years of service plus your age. Means all of a sudden you are vested in all of your equity compensation, whether you leave or not. So these are important pieces of the picture. And so I think once you have all of that and know where you're at, and right, if you're working with an advisor, they're going to be putting this puzzle together for you. But I think it's good for anybody to look at all those pieces. Then it's easier to look at your allocations and say, do these make sense? Right? Are they in the right spots? And if they are, great, it might be time to rebalance. It also might be time to shift up some of those allocations.
I'm glad you brought up the advisor piece of this, Amy, because a couple that I know that I was speaking to the other day, the husband and the wife, the husband said, yeah, sometimes we talk to the advisor, but I don't want to appear stupid. So we get home, I have my wife explain everything to me. And I said, there are no stupid questions. Like, if you aren't sure of something, ask, because it's so important that both of you understand what it is that you're talking about. And if there's a term that you don't know, ask. If there's a concept you don't understand, ask for an explainer. I got to think any advisor worth their salt is going to want to make sure to take the time to stop down and explain something if one or both parties in a married couple, for example, don't understand everything.
I am so glad you brought that up. Yes, as an advisor, I want clients to ask all of their questions. I want to know what they're thinking. I want to know, how they're connecting the dots. And it's okay if those dots aren't connected perfectly. Part of my job as a financial advisor is to provide education.
Yeah.
It's not purely investments. It's education around what I'm recommending they do and why they're doing it. But ultimately, those decisions should be in the hands of the clients, and they need to understand the reasons. And so you're right. There are no stupid questions. And if somebody's working with an advisor that they feel like when they ask those questions, the response they get is that their questions are stupid, right? That might not be the best fit.
That's a reflection on the advisor, not the client.
Absolutely.
We were talking before we started recording today, Amy. My wife and I just switched financial advisors. We had a financial advisor who, was good with the investments and where our money was and our 401ks and all that kind of stuff. But, after talking to you for the last couple of years, we wanted somebody who's going to take that 360-degree approach to understanding what we want to do, what our short, medium, long-term goals are, for our lifetimes. Even now, my wife just turned 43, I just turned 41. Knowing where we want to go and understanding the why and really taking the time to understand us and make sure that we understand everything that he's telling us. I know you operate the same way. That understanding and psychology piece is just so important.
Jag, thank you. That is probably the biggest compliment you could have given me, that I helped inspire the two of you to find an advisor that would help you holistically.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you. Amy, is there any kind of question that would be considered off base in your meeting with your advisors, or anything you can ask that you would maybe do a double take if a client asked you?
I don't think so. there's things that will give pause,
Sure.
but it's more pause in let me think through the ramifications and what I call the dominoes, right? Or the connections between what they asked and what else that might be. It could be that I'm trying to tie two things together for them because I can see that something's not correctly connected. And I'm trying to figure out where they may have drawn connections so that I can probably explain two things that are separate that have been connected.
Okay.
It might also be that I'm trying to think of the best resource for them because it's not a topic that I can specifically address.
I like that.
Right? If it needs to go to a tax attorney, for example.
Yeah.
I had that question recently that I knew the CPA wasn't right. I knew their estate planning attorney wasn't right. And I had to sit there for a little bit trying to figure out how to tie these pieces together. And finally I said, it's really a tax attorney.
Right. And knowing where to go for those resources if you have an unusual question that's not something you come across every day.
Yeah.
So with the idea of what you should be asking your financial advisor for this annual financial review, you hit on this a little bit earlier, Amy, about potential life changes. If something might happen, like, hey, I'm looking to change jobs, or, there's this inheritance, Aunt Gertrude is not doing so hot. This could happen in 2022, but might not happen till later. Even if they're just maybes or question marks, is it worth mentioning to your financial advisor?
Absolutely. And I even suggest that many of those, such as job changes, for example, might be good to mention even before the meeting.
Okay.
Because while your advisor is likely able to be making adjustments to many things, during the meeting, there will be some preparation that they do for the meeting. And so some of those details may impact what they come back with.
Right. So if they have an early heads up that, hey, this is an area that I want to explore, they can have some material prepared to play out different scenarios.
Exactly. So I think that all of those what ifs are important, not just because they might happen, but because it's giving your advisor a glimpse into your brain and your heart.
That is so important. And I said this earlier, I'll say it again, Amy, this is why I really enjoy talking to you in these podcasts, because you take that 360-degree approach. And if somebody listening wants to come talk to you at Thimbleberry Financial and really get a good overall view, an overall picture, an overall conversation about their financial future, what are the best ways to find you?
They can reach us online at thimbleberryfinancial.com or by giving us a call at 503-610-6510.
Awesome. Happy holidays, Amy. We'll talk to you in the new year.
Yes. Happy New Year.
Registered representative. Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisor representative. Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and Thimbleberry Financial are not affiliated.